Welcome to Make a Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes, and today, let's talk The Walking Dead Q&A number 6. Well, The Walking Dead comic Q&A number 6. Alright guys, I did a marathon over the Christmas and New Year holiday of the TV Q&A, so I thought it was only fair before issue 150 drops to bang out maybe 2 or 3 Q&As for the comic book. Excuse me. Now listen, with issue 150 dropping January 13th, that's what, Wednesday? This Wednesday? Yeah, anyway, with that dropping, I do have a video a lot of people were requesting, which is another complete comic book collection. I said I wasn't going to do it because I didn't think anyone would want it. You know, I did the complete collection and then I did update videos, and I thought that was alright. But I got a lot of people saying, "Can you just do a whole collection video, whoop-de-whoop, that way we could see everything in one shot?" And I said, you know what? To make it more interesting for those who have followed the main video and all the update videos, what I'll do is I'll do it for issue 150. That way you guys can see what I got after 148 up until, 150. And I got a couple surprise pickups. And, I just thought it would be a little more interesting. Then I can incorporate issue 150 and we could just do a big video then. Anyway, with that out of the way, I also have another special video I'm doing for issue 150 that will probably be up the week after it releases, because it's going to have to do with issue 150. But that's going to be a special vid. You'll know it. You'll know it, trust me. Anyway, if you want to participate in the Q&A, the directions are in the descriptions. I'm only going to say this once. If you do not read the directions and do not follow them, excuse me again, chances are your questions won't make it in here. And I'll let you know right now, because I just don't want you guys wasting your time. We don't do what-ifs or hypotheticals. We don't do any hypotheticals. And what I mean is, like, what if Shane lived, or what if the governor wasn't a bad guy, or what if this, or those can go in a million different offshoot directions, and it would just take up so much time to really, break those down in detail. So we just don't cover them on this channel. Anyway, let's get right into these comic questions here. Ayed, okay. Do you think that we will see Rick ask Negan for advice again anytime soon? Will the advice sessions between Rick and Negan be more frequent? Yeah, I do feel like, if this does work with Negan's advice to Rick, I do think that will start down a certain road for Negan's story. But I will have to say, I am kind of hoping we see something similar to maybe Rick is going down to get more advice from Negan, and that's where the betrayal happens. And some members in Alexandria and a couple from the hilltop, you know who they are from the previous issue, they actually go down to ambush Rick down there. And maybe one would pull a gun out, or, I don't know, something, and Negan can reach over from across the bars, with Rick being in this fight for his life, grab one of the guys and I just picture, I don't know, I think it would be awesome to imagine him just slamming him, back through the bars, busting his head open, and maybe just picking him up by his bare hands and choking the life out of him. Even Rick can turn the fight around from that, maybe. Maybe that's enough where Rick can turn the fight around and then demand Negan lets the guy go right before he kills him, and that helps win over a little bit of that scenario. Anyway, you can brainstorm or spitball. We're too close to 150 to do it now, so I just want to let you know that is something I kind of want to see. I want to see some kind of altercation happen down in the jail, and I want to see Negan through the bars show that he's still a physical threat, even through the bars, even locked up. I just like that idea. Anyway, Mark Restar, do you think there would ever be a natural disaster like a tornado that hits the walls? I think it would be interesting. Listen, I love this question, and do I think there would ever be a natural disaster? I'm leaning more towards no, but eventually. Because eventually, once you start utilizing or using up so much material, Robert Kirkman might look for something fresh and interesting. So throwing a disaster in there seems like the thing to do. I know, because me personally, when I am developing my story for my comic that takes place post-apocalyptic, I'm looking for what will areas look like where our survivors are walking through, and they walk through an area that has already been hit by a tornado or a flood or just, leveled by some other kind of natural disaster. I don't know, but I think though that's so interesting, even just to walk up on the aftermath of something like that. It's just awesome. I love the idea. Anyhow, yes, I do want to see something like that in the comic book world. I don't know if we're going to see it anytime soon, but I do believe that after the Whispers, a natural disaster would be a really nice, refreshing touch in between that and what's going to happen afterwards. Set by Austin. What is the difference between the #1 Walking Dead comic book and the #1 Walking Dead comic book, White Pages, New Orleans? I have no clue what you're talking about. No clue at all. Anyway, oh, you know what? I don't know what you're talking about with New Orleans. I do know that issue #1 has two different covers. One is, it's written in black and it says mature readers only or mature audiences only. I don't know, something like that. Well, that mature warning is written on black on some and on white on some. And what happened is when they were printing, it was supposed to be white letters with black borders. So the way it works in the printing is they put the black letter down and the white on top, and that would give it the black border look. But what happened in the beginning when they first started printing The Walking Dead issue 1, they printed the white first and the black laid over top of it, and since it was so big, it actually covered it up. Meaning underneath the black words are the white letters, so yeah, what happened is they caught that mistake, and no one knows how many got made wrong, and when they caught that mistake, they fixed it, and they sent out all the black lettering to one area, all the white lettering to another area, so they all stayed pretty much, unknown, because each area thought it was the norm to have white and the norm to have black. And then when everyone was trading over the internet, they realized it, and then they went back to research it, and I guess someone asked Kirkman, and then he finally told them what the mistake was. So if that is what you're wondering, yeah, that's what happened. Duff Not Fud. When they finally finish the Walking Dead comics, do you think it will end with a cure or end with Rick Grimes being dead? Wait, or the end of Rick Grimes' life? Listen, the Walking Dead comic will pass Rick Grimes' life, and right now I think it's safe to say that Carl will become the main character of the Walking Dead comic. Maybe not the leader, but he will be the main character. I don't know. Coming up, maybe not soon, maybe in a while, but he will. As far as the cure, no. I don't think the Walking Dead will ever go anywhere near a cure. There's just no point in curing something, because once you put a cure in the story, you just shot yourself in the foot for growth. They can keep this thing going. A cure would just be like, I don't know. So I'm going to say no. Travis Ward. Will the Saviors attack Alexandria? I'm going to say no. Rick Dunnigan. Do you think there's a slight possibility of Rick killing Negan in issue 150? No way. Not even a slight possibility. I just don't see that. Nah, no way. Slim Jesus Don't Shoot. Do you think it would be cool to see Rick get a thing on his arm like Merle had in the TV show when and if the survivors and Whispers go to war or start fighting? You think it would bring Rick... Yeah, here's the thing. They got to keep it, not like Merle, because it would just be too similar. I think it would rub people the wrong way. But they also have to be careful it doesn't look ridiculous. It can't be, this ridiculous weapon, So they could, but they got to be careful with it. I would be fine with something. I don't know what just yet, but I would be fine with something. Yeah. Just careful it's not ridiculous. Epic Trev 7. Do you think they will ever make a government, sort of like Fallout? I think it would be interesting. Listen, I think there is a possibility for a government, later on. I wouldn't say like Fallout, because then it's just too similar to something else. I'm saying, I get what you're saying though, but yeah, I think there's a chance for a government, but I think there's also a better chance that it would be, in compartments. It would be like the government that ran, the Hilltop, Alexandria, those communities, Sanctuary, and then another government that ran something else that's miles away. I think that's more likely to happen. Be the Zip. Ronnie, who is your favorite group or person who was an antagonist in the show and comic? Well, this is comic only, so I'm gonna go with Negan and the Saviors. I just think Negan's comedy's just golden in the comic book. I love the shit out of them. So yeah, Enoch Puiz. There's always a name I mess up bad. Anyway, do you know how much time has passed in the time skip of the comics when they started a new beginning? Because I would like to know, like, how old is Carl now? Listen, I don't follow this stuff closely. I personally, I know, we talk about finer details and facts and specifics. When it comes to how much time has passed, I think it's not really that important unless it's a significant time jump. I will say the time skip is roughly 3 years. I think that's the best thing, because taking into consideration Maggie's child, the age of her child, Negan's hair alone, and a couple other factors, it would probably have to be 3 years. Now, they say Carl is about 13, which in the comic he looks a little older. I'd say he looks a little like 16, 17-ish, but in the comic I believe he's supposed to be 13 years old right now. So yeah, but like I said, if he was 13 or 14, I don't think it matters at all. Like, that's just too small of a difference. If he goes from being 13 to 20 in some kind of time skip, yeah, that's important. Anyway, not meaning your question's not important. I'm just letting you know why I don't specifically to the date know. It's because I don't think it's something that's as important. I like it being somewhat a mystery. Like, we know it's 3-year time skip, around about. I don't think it's important to know it's 3 years, 2 months, and 5 days. You know what I mean? Anyway, John Mang Gaming. Do you think we will see Ezekiel in Season 7? If so, will we see his pet? Yes, I do, and yes, we will see the tiger. Finding Coral. Do you think Coral can make Lydia a better person or less messed up? Yeah, I do believe there's a possibility. I think we're kind of seeing that progression already. Negan. What kind of strategy do you think the survivors will attempt to pull off against the Whispers when they make their move? You know what? I'm going to go with the new beginning. We saw them herding and using strategy on a big scale to move this herd, and they had it all planned out. Eugene was there. I'm going to go with that as a similar maneuver for part of it, but there's also going to be war as well and fighting, because it's more than just shifting the herd. They also have to kill the Whisperers in the herd. So I'm going to go with that being a major play or a major part of the story that happens during the war between them and the Whisperers. Quick ending!
Subscribe now.